We have a lot of big warnings coming in from China and Russia that they're about to make moves this week. Guys, we have a storm overhead, so if you hear a lot of thunder and lightning, I apologize for it, but things are just getting bad all across our world. China right here is fatally criticizing NATO, saying that they have sought security with others, with the expense of other countries. They're warning against bringing new chaos to the region of Asia. This follows NATO's accusation that China is right now enabling and backing up the Russian war. China has maintained what they consider to be a neutral stance on this conflict. They say that they will continue legitimate military and economic trade with Russia despite all Western sanctions. And NATO has said that China is supporting this war directly and that NATO must grow with Japan, South Korea, and other anti-Chinese countries. Now, the drills that have taken place recently in Belarus between China and Belarus shows that China is a key partner in World War III. This is an increased tension because of China's growing influence in both economic and military means, and that we see a countering to Western influence. Now, Russia and China have both openly said that the West is basically no more. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but we are weakening in our position of global dominance. Now, for you and me, the average Joes and Janes, that means that we are going to see a weakened dollar. We're going to see more violence. We're going to see more unrest, more criminality inside the USA. The cops are going to care less. Corruption's going to go up. So you better just hold on and brace for all of those things to happen. A new NATO missile defense base has started operating in Poland. That's according to the Alliance Secretary General. He said that according to Reuters, citing the Secretary General's statements, the base, which is called the Aegis Ashore, it will allow the interception of medium and short-range ballistic missiles. At the same time, it's part of NATO's larger missile defense shield that Donald Trump has basically said is worthless. Now, they want to put missile defenses across America. I saw a video just yesterday about all these countries that are bordering Russia setting up their dragon's teeth, setting up all of their anti-tank weapons, setting up all of this all across. It's all across the land. You see the video just panning, and it looks like a modern-day World War II battlefield. And I wonder how people can be so complacent with all these things happening around them. It's as if you ask the guy to come put a screen porch on, and you just have bars going up on your windows, and the locks are suddenly switched to outside of your door, and you have cameras not looking out, but cameras outside of your house looking in, and people not wondering, hold on a second, I think something might be going wrong here. Well, that's citizens in all these countries as we see this build up to war take place. Now, in the USA, we do have a huge economic depression. Nearly 2 in 5 U.S. renters say that they will never in the life of them own a home in the USA. This is up 30% from just a year ago. We are accepting the fact that these corporations and the corrupt economy that we live under has taken away your ability of owning a home. Now, a lot of people are going to complain and say, well, Brad, owning a home comes with all these expenses and this and that. It doesn't really matter. That doesn't change the fact that we are living under oppression and tyranny for ownership. New documents are showing that Chinese fighter aircraft have released flares and continue to operate against Australia. Now, the Australian warships are being shadowed by Chinese destroyers and helicopters. We do see new reports that American warships are being shadowed by China. They're keeping them in line. China is saying we are watching you and we're going to continue to operate in a way that watches you so that if you step out of line in the Indo-Pacific, China will be right there to act. Now, China is okay bullying things like the Philippines. You've seen all the videos. The Coast Guard just getting waterlogged. We do see some fishermen getting attacked. Some of their boats being capsized. We see mines going into the waters. And how can people look at this and say everything is okay or nothing ever happens? Now, I've got an economist here. This is Charles Gasparino. He says, when you talk to enough Wall Street executives and you come away with the exact same thing, it is very unsettling. No one knows what's going to happen with the markets and, by extension, the greater economy. Now, we are starting to see some of the turmoil that I warned you about in the U.S. marketplace right now. It's in the corporate marketplace. It's in the stock market. It is going to get bad. A Japanese maritime self-defense force destroyer called the Suzutsuki It sailed into Chinese territory waterways recently. China has warned that if this happens again, it will lead China to react militarily. A U.S. Coast Guard cutter on patrol in the Bering Sea recently encountered several Chinese warships. Now, it's okay for them to be there. The problem is they're testing our defenses. Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman recruited 75 armed citizens, primarily former police officers, for what they have called a special deputies force that will be activated during emergencies. Now, this on paper sounds like a good idea. You have these government leaders or local leaders recruiting former police officers to be special deputies. Well, let me tell you, in the history of special deputies in the USA, they get away with a lot of special deputy things that are not covered under the normal operating procedures of law enforcement. We are stepping into very dangerous ground. Now, if everything goes right, they say that these will only be activated during nationwide or local emergencies. There is a controversy that has been sparked saying that this program will lead to accidental shootings. It will pose a threat to all political opponents. They're accusing them of creating a militia for political purposes in the light of heightened fears of political violence. Now, they have defended this program, saying that it is an additional layer of protection for residents. They've asserted that it is not a militia and that it is a necessary group for emergencies. They sent out 100 different applications. 25 are trained up so far. They're receiving stipends, so they're receiving money, they're receiving training in law enforcement, in laws of the local land, firearms, and the use of deadly force. Now, supporters say that these deputies will be very useful. The initiative leads to a debate against political motivations and the implications of arming citizens. Guys, have you ever read the Constitution? An armed group of citizens is what our founding fathers wanted, because they would be the last line of defense. They would be the ones who stop tyranny. The U.S. presidential candidate, RFK Jr., he's a Kennedy, you know him. He slammed NATO recently, saying, quote, NATO morphed into an expansionist offensive alliance. He says NATO provokes war instead of preserving peace. NATO keeps the dollars flowing for the military contractors. Guys, he's about to get Kennedy'd. You see these words that he's saying? As president, if he was going to continue down that road, he would not disband NATO. He would transform NATO into a true peace alliance that is dedicated to global disarmament. Well, we know no president. That's a little bit of foo-foo there. No president wants global disarmament. Every president, every leader wants everybody else to be disarmed while they hold the true weapons. The Russian foreign minister has said that if Ukraine continues on its path to join NATO, Ukraine will disappear or NATO will disappear. The U.S. and Germany have foiled a recent Russian plot to assassinate the CEO of a weapons producer that was sending weapons to Ukraine. I told you in yesterday or one of the recent videos that we're starting to see different CEOs take armed protection very seriously. It's lining up with Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, all these guys building their bunkers and having their own trained militaries. Why is it bad when you train up a group of armed citizens, but these schmoes, they can just hold on to an army, a private army, with the funds to keep that money, those bullets rolling, the funds to do all these things, and keep it going, and it's okay. Russia is planning a response measure to the containment of a very serious NATO threat, says the Kremlin spokesperson. They were quoted by Russian news agencies saying that the Western Military Alliance is holding a summit, and with that summit, they show that they are fully involved in the conflict over Ukraine and the conflict to kill Russian citizens. There are currently 20 to 40 different active volcanoes globally. They are spewing 120,000 tons of CO2 per day into the atmosphere. Where are all the complaints to ban the volcanoes? No, instead, they're worried about you, what the little measly amount that you're doing. They don't even go past you and worry about the private flights and the private yachts and all of that. No, it just stops at you. Why? Because you're the taxable scum that they want to keep under their boot. Well, times are certainly getting interesting. Things are changing, theories are changing, people's minds are changing. They have said that this is a war for you. It's a war for your mind and how you're going to act and how you will react. Well, we're here to bring you information so that you can plan accordingly.